I feel bad for him, kind of, at this point, because they got to smoking the hopium. They got way too big for their britches, bit off more than they could chew, as Mama Cornette used to say. And they've adjusted their buildings down, as we talked about on the last show, where they're running smaller arenas or the secondary building in the market, but something that what they're drawing currently looks better in that building than it does in the 20,000 seaters. But they announced that stadium show in Australia. You knew where I was going with this. They announced that, last summer? Right? We're going to do our first stadium show in Australia.
Did they announce it at All In, or was it right before All In? It was around the London Stadium show, wasn't it?
It's somewhere at that particular point in time. But how far, by the way, is Australia's a long way from anywhere, and I'm not disparaging our fans down under, because we got them down there.
Biggest one they had.
But they're not close to anything. How far is it if the fans in the UK, is that a leg up on America, or is it just as far?
New Bet365
Sure, if Gerald ever went or something, he could get
Join
you something.
Bet365 today.
I don't know who else would go.
$50 in bonus bets when you bet $5.
Somewhere around here.
It's never ordinary at Bet365.
What now? What did you ask?
I'm asking you, is it just as far if the fans in the United Kingdom,
I saw what happened, yeah.
who have proven that they went to Wembley, they love the stadium atmosphere, is that just like
It's still far. Oh, yeah.
Is that for them like flying from New York to goddamn Miami, or is that still a goddamn round the world thing? Is it like it is from the United States, which I understand from people who've done that, it's like 18 hours or more, depending on where you start out.
It may be slightly less, but yeah, it's a big, long, day-long flight to the land down under.
So the point is, they announced this thing, our first stadium show in Australia, and we pontificated on how many fucking places they got in Australia with a stadium. Turns out they have several, but that our Australian fans chimed in and said, well, we know about AEW because we're kind of really dedicated wrestling fans, but it's not like they're household names over here. And then they also announced at the same time they announced they were going to that building in Arlington, Texas, which seated like 1,500 people or whatever for that little residency. They also announced they were coming to the goddamn stadium in Texas. It's going to be our first stadium show in Texas. Like there had been a petition from the...
Yeah, right after those Arlington shows, too. We've shown everyone we can get 1,200 people here every week. We're going to really go for it now. Texas Stadium.
Yeah. So, and actually, it's not Texas Stadium anymore, is it? They've got a new one now, like they do everywhere. But it's a stadium in fucking the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area. And so anyway, now we said last week, but maybe you can, do you know by this point what, it's out there, I just haven't cared, what the arena is in Australia that is now taking the place of the stadium show in Australia? We announced on one of the programs last week, if you missed it, that never mind, we're going to take this stadium show and we're going to put it indoors in a 13,000 seat building. Whatever the name of that building is.
It's the Brisbane Entertainment Center.
Is it Brisbane or Brisbane?
I'm going to pronounce it Brisbane and hope for the best.
Well, it's Birmingham. I know that much. I've been there.
The building opened in 1986 and the capacity is 13,500.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a LA Coliseum sports arena WrestleMania, the Slaughter effect. Now, we shouldn't blame him. It was the Vince effect.
This is going from Giant Stadium to the National Coliseum.
Well, that's what I was about to say with Texas. Because now I heard that the stadium show, the first thing what's the name of the stadium now? Do we have that on the Google machine? Have you gone gaga for Google yet?
Hold on, we will have that momentarily.
But the first thing I heard was that the stadium in Dallas was going to be set up for 24,000 people. And there's an indoor arena, I know at least one of them in Dallas-Fort Worth that seats 22,000. So a stadium for 24,000 people. But now And Brian, maybe you can explain this to me.
Globe Life Field.
Globe Life Field. See, Texas Stadium sounded cooler than Globe Life Field. You get a fucking free life insurance policy if you buy the skybox. The pre-sale is ongoing for this event, and they have announced that they put 15,000 tickets on sale for the pre-sale. Is that all that they're setting up for now, kind of, and then they're going to see how it goes, or what is the pre-sale from this? That's kind of like the pre-show. If you're selling tickets to the goddamn event, then they're kind of on fucking sale.
No, these are not on sale. These are pre-show tickets. So these are, you're buying these before they're on
Wait a
sale.
minute, these are only tickets for the pre-show. You got to buy another ticket to get in the regular show.
I meant pre-sale. These are pre-sale. So basically, you can't buy these tickets unless you're one of the people who had to buy them early for the pre-sale.
Well, how do you get to be one of the people to be allowed to buy these tickets early?
You have to have some time on your hands and want to get some tickets. I mean, there's no real.
You don't have to pass a test. You don't have to win a lottery. You don't have to get the golden ticket to get a ticket. You just have to. What do you have to do?
I have here, as we are recording a couple hours ago, WrestleTix put up an update. They were, I guess, in the queue online, and there were 538 people ahead of him, or her, or whoever WrestleTix is, them.
Wait. So there were 538 people in line to get the first crack at tickets for a fucking stadium.
And according to this, 15,198 currently available.
Tickets, you're saying.
Tickets. And I'm looking at earlier.
Does that indicate how many they started out with, or is this before the was this pre-sale? Was this before the tickets went on sale? Before the tickets go on sale?
And by the way, here's what WrestleTix wrote. The general pre-sale begins December 2nd. Tickets for all in Texas go on sale to the public Monday, December 9th at 10 a.m. Central.
Wait, who's in the fucking public? If these okay, are these people that are in the pre-sale queue, as they say, across the pond? Are they incarcerated somehow? They're not allowed to be part of the general population? They're members of the public.
That's what you call the casual viewer. The public.
But what? You call a casual viewer people that are watching something else. But what I'm still trying to get from you, how do you qualify to get involved in this highly sought after demand? It's like Black Thursday where they open the doors of Walmart.
It says here.
Like before.
It says here from WrestleTix, and by the way, the current seating setup is for 24,171 tickets as of right now, excluding the VIP deck and the suites. For anyone who wants to come and not sit amongst the public and get a suite and pay a lot of money to sit all alone up in that suite.
Well, haven't we determined that a lot of times the suites in these buildings for AEW or a lot of other things are empty except for people who, like corporations that just, here's you work here, or our clients take these?
Aluminum-free deodorant for pits, feet, and more isn't a
don't
myth.
get cancer and
It's
all that.
native.
Cancerous aluminum dropped from the sky. Diabetes.
Early pre-sale went on sale today, but VIP pre-sale was on sale yesterday.
Oh, God damn it.
But I don't have any known
Okay,
results.
what are the criteria for you to become a VIP pre-buyer? In order to be able to pre-buy before the regular hoi polloi can pre-buy, before the fucking regular general population can buy the pickings that's left over.
And by the way, for anyone thinking of moseying on down to Texas for this big event, what's available right now is the entire floor, sections 5 through 24, sections 104 through 124, sections 209 to 226, and sections 316 to 321. So, at that, here's tickets may go.
Here's a question I'm going to ask you that'll keep you busy for a minute while I can pontificate. What is the seating capacity of this stadium if they were going to play a fucking ball game in it, or baseball or football or whatever? What is the capacity of the entire stadium, not what it's set up for? And while I still do not understand how that if you are not qualifying or meeting some kind of criteria, such as you're on their direct mailing list, or you're the winner of a lottery, or you whatever the fuck, or you bought a ticket to see one of their shows here recently or something, that if it's a pre-sale and anybody can participate in it, then it's just the tickets going on goddamn sale.
Jim, the stadium, and this is for baseball, is 40,300 capacity, but again, AEW is offering floor seats, obviously, as anyone would nowadays. That's not included in this number. This
How many seats do you think you get on a baseball field if you try? I guess we should ask Gosh and Hackenschmidt. But so, you know, the other problem, they're setting it up for half a house, and the pre-sale had 538 people in line.
And we'll see how long this goes before they have to move it to something smaller. Because here's the other thing. If you, right now, drank the Kool-Aid, if you loved everything AEW was offering you right now, what's the main event that you're sniffing for, that if they gave it to you next summer would be the biggest deal? There's nothing on the horizon. There's just more of the same. There's nothing really big that's going to cause, Hogan and Andre, people had to go see. I know that's an extreme example. It's maybe the most successful one ever. But what's there that's going to draw people from Texas to want to see AEW? And then what's going to cause AEW fans to fly in for this? The era of AEW fans flying in for every pay-per-view is long gone.
Well, yeah, because there's been so many of them, and there's been so many more added. And I know people hate it when we point out that we've been consistent with saying something, but before this thing started, my comment was, it's the world's biggest crowdfunding effort that has ever been, in terms of not that Tony needed the money and needed the people to buy the tickets, but in terms of they wanted to support it at the start, and that all in and all out, and all in too, and the big shows and the special stuff. And what about when they're doing TV every week? I didn't know they were going to be doing TV twice a week. What about when they're doing 4 pay-per-views a year and it's been 3 years? Whatever the fuck, at some point, how much money do people have? They can't continue to support a guy who they know has billions of dollars and is getting paid from the networks with their own money just because they hate the WWE and they're mad at Vince, which that's all gone away. And now you see that it's settled down to, well, it didn't settle down. It's still going down, but it is the hysteria of the new thing that was going to change the world. It's now off because it's not new and ain't changed shit. So that's when you lose the people who were, it'll be a great weekend, we'll go to Chicago. It'll be a great weekend, we'll go to Las Vegas. And we don't want to go to Hershey. I mean, that's the thing. It couldn't last forever. And they had to be interesting, and they're not interesting.
Yeah, no,
it's interesting in a different way.
And the Elite versus the Moxley punch is not going to draw a house, especially not a stadium show. And then you ask yourself, why are you running that stadium when you can run a smaller building? And I mean, I know they have a deal with Arlington, but still, it's going to be embarrassing if. And we've seen already with AEW, the law of diminishing returns for big shows. Arthur Ashe, and of course London.
Well, and the thing is, you mentioned, what's the main event? I know a lot of people say it's the brand. We want to see that. That was the thing with the first All In. They just wanted to see it. It was happening, as we said at the time. It's historic, blah, blah, blah. But there's like, well, the next time, and then the next time don't take place. You need an attraction, and whether it was the Freebirds and the Von Erichs, or whether it was Austin and Rock, or whether it was, depending on the era, Fritz and Dory Funk Jr.,
ran stadium shows and sold more tickets than this one is set up for. But it has to be an attraction, and they haven't got one. And at the same time, and we'll talk about Survivor Series in a minute, but they did the small set gimmick because they said, fuck, we're just going to sell all these tickets. And the company that can't put 5,000 people in most places is running stadiums, and the other company is having to make their goddamn set smaller to accommodate all the fucking people and cram them in. I think they ought to call it WWE and say, hey, you want to sublet a couple of these stadiums, guys? And like the idea that Terry Funk had with Jerry Jarrett. At one time, Terry Funk called Jerry Jarrett and said, in the territory days, when the biggest day of the year for the territories was Thanksgiving, Terry called Jerry and said, Jerry, let's fuck all of them. Okay, I'm not going to do the boys either. Let's rent all the major arenas in all of the territory's home base and get them under contract so all the promoters will have to rent the buildings from us. And Jerry said, well, Terry, that's a great idea, but what about if they just say, fuck it, we're going to stay home. We'll be on the hook to run all those fucking buildings. And Terry's, oh, never mind. maybe they ought to call the WWE and say, hey, we got a stadium in Australia, low mileage, cool air, doesn't use a lot of oil, we get it for you cheap, and there's one in Texas, boy, take these off our hands. You know, the problem is, again, AEW's early success was unsustainable, and the pandemic happened, so whatever momentum was there kind of got capped. But they're still in a position where they need to build interest in the brand and in the wrestlers. And it doesn't happen. Instead, you keep getting these field of dream scenarios. You know, if you promote it, they will come, but they're not coming. And, you know, again, I hate to repeat myself, however I put that.
Well, I don't mind repeating myself. I do it often, but you do you.
But it's never going to get any better. This is Tony Khan. This is the Tony Khan show. The good and the bad. This is the Tony Khan show. So nothing's going to really ever logically be done in a logical way.
But you know what? Right now, if you're on the AEW roster, if you just say, you know, Tony, I really think that creative doesn't work for me, bro. I'm gonna go home for a little while. You know where to send my check, and I'll get some ideas together. If you're one of those people, you're home, you got a lot of time on your hands, and